What's up, guys and gals? Scoob here from the Motocross Training Academy. I seen this picture on Facebook. It popped up. I thought, wow, really cool. And what a good teaching opportunity I have here to show my students. And maybe you're not my student, but maybe you will be after this video. You can always join my Motocross Training Academy at motocrosstrainingacademy.com or dirtsoldiers.com, where I have my own private training facility here in Loretto, PA, where I've been professionally coaching students for the last like 25 years now, where I help students have massive breakthroughs. But what I teach a thing called the 8 fundamentals. Just like any other sport, basketball, football, baseball, hockey, ice skating, ballerina, you name it, there's fundamentals. Motocross is the same way. One of the big misconceptions in motocross is that there's not. You know, if you joined football tomorrow, you would go get yourself a coach and you would be taught in the fundamentals. Problem with motocross is you can go to your local store, buy a dirt bike, and have Uncle Jimmy teach you how he learned the fundamentals by crashing tremendously, getting hurt, and with under his method of just twist the throttle and go, right? And so you build these crazy bad habits over and over again. Okay, so what I teach in my school is the 8 fundamentals of moto control. There's 8 of them. I'm going to touch on one of them here with this picture. My 7th fundamental, which is called the 7 position or standing neutral, right? 7 position or standing neutral. I call it the 7 position because you look like a 7. So if we go to when you're in it correctly, you look like a 7. So let's go to another picture here, right here. Let's see I just brought up the Google Photos. Like, here's a good one right here. I think this is from the MX Factory. They're actually awesome coaches as well. Let's see. Okay, so here it is. This is what the standing 7 looks like. You see a guy seated and you see a guy standing. There's 2 positions on a motocross track. Either standing or you're in the seated position. You're going to stand most of the time. Sitting, I mean, most people know this, is going to only be in corners. And honestly, if you can get away with standing in a corner, it's actually the better way to do it. Now, in this fundamental number 7, I call it the 7 position or standing neutral, right? So you're neutral. See this position right here? You don't look like a perfect 7, but you are a little bit of a modified 7, right? You're pretty close to making yourself look like a 7. You can actually bend at the waist here, bring your head a little bit more down to the handlebars, and you would be really crazily in the 7 position, right? But as you can see, knees are even with the foot peg. Hips are at the back of the bike for the back of the bike that's going to be dancing and moving all over the place. Head is forward, looking out over the handlebars, leading, anticipating the power, anticipating what's coming up on the track, anticipating the power you're about to deliver. You are in the standing neutral here. You're going to let this bike work underneath you. If you want to see somebody that's a master of this, just look at Jet Lawrence. He's the poster child for correct technique. This is how you want to start right here. If you watch Jet Lawrence, and I teach my students this, when he rides from the pit to the track, when he rides to practice, when he rides to qualifying, if he's just out for a practice day, he never leaves this position. Why? Because he wants it to become reflex reaction, something that just happens without him even thinking about it. If I take this picture away for a second and I bring up this one, let me see real quick. This is how you'll see most people riding to the track. I just seen it here. Let me bring it up really quick. I wish I'd have made this video bigger so you could see the whole screen. But see this picture right here? You can get lazy and just do this. But I'm telling you, if you want to make this a reflex reaction, and the correct way to do this is how I showed you in this other picture. Start riding all the time in the standing neutral position. 7, make yourself look like a 7, not a scrunched up C. What is the biggest mistake that most amateurs make? They bring these knees right here. If I bring this pick back up, 1 second. These knees go forward and look like the seated position. If your knees are forward of the foot pegs, it's only because you're in the seated position. The biggest mistake I see most amateurs make is these knees, when in this standing position like this, go forward past the foot pegs in the standing position. This is wrong. This makes you some weird looking scrunched up C. It does not work. It's not the correct body position. It creates all kinds of different pressure points, not pressure points, I'm sorry. It creates all different kind of the way you put force down through the bike in the wrong positions. And it does not allow you, one of the biggest reasons why you're in this standing neutral 7 position when you start like this is, are you going to move from here? Absolutely. And that's what's going to lead me into this Pastrana video in a second. But why are you here? So you're able to move from this position very quickly, very fast, and be ready to anticipate whatever forces are coming at you, whether you deliver them through braking, throttling, clutching, or the track delivers them to you through ruts, breaker bumps, jump faces, all this stuff. A tilled up track, a track that's dry, and then they water it. This is all different forces. And if you start from the standing 7 position right here, you are now able to react to them forces and move. And what's the biggest movement you're going to make in motocross? It is exactly the picture that we just had up. It's going to be a move. Now, this is an exaggeration, and this picture just really, let me find it again. Here it is. Just, when I seen this, like, I got to make this video, right? Now, this is an extreme movement by Strana, but I want you to notice some things here. Why? This is the movement. First of all, the biggest movement you'll make in motocross is from that 7 position, which you just seen, is a movement to the back of the bike. Why would you move to the back of the bike? Why do you think one of your biggest movements, there's other movements, lateral movements to the shoulder, obviously sitting and standing movements. But the big movement, like I just said, is a movement back to the back of the bike. Where are you going to do this on the track? Where do you think Pastrana's doing it right here? I guarantee, I'd say this is Red Bull straight rhythm. I'd say he's in a set of whoops here. So we're going to do this in whoops. Where else are we going to make this movement? Not this extreme. Listen, it's not this extreme. I just want you to see this picture because I want to show you a couple things from that 7 position. You're able to make this crazy movement to the back of the bike if you start from that 7 position. You don't start with these knees forward of the foot pegs up here. This stems these knees forward from a couple different things. From you being too tall when you're younger riding a bike, from you watching too many YouTube videos that told you grip the bike with your knees. And so you went up here to the fat part of your bike and you gripped it because it felt more comfortable. These are all wrong, okay? You can see here, Pastrana is making a massive movement to the back of the bike. And look at his knees. They're almost still even with the foot pegs. His knees slid back just a little bit. So what did he do to accomplish this move? What he did was my fundamental number 3, which is so, so important. And I teach my fundamental number 3. And what is that? Bend at the waist. When in the standing position and you want to tuck in and lower the center of gravity, you have to bend at the waist and take your head down towards the handlebar mounts. Now, what he does here is what most people will do here to try to make this movement is put their knees way forward here, hunch their butt straight back down by the 9 here, which creates a wheelie effect. And you wonder why you're going nose high off jumps. You see what I'm saying? You wonder why you're looping out and losing control over breaker bumps, because breaker bumps are just tiny little jumps that happen a lot quicker than a long jump face, right? Ruts, all this stuff. So all you have to do is bend at the waist, and then you hinge in the hips and take your butt. Look how far his butt's back here. His butt's literally bending his fender. It's sitting on his exhaust. Probably melted his pants there, maybe. But anyhow, I want you to recognize this, right? So when you're at this position here, all you have to do is bend more. See, if he'll hinge in the hips, his hips will move to the back of the bike, and he'll bend more at the waist and transition to the back of the bike. The knees almost stay the same. They just moved a little bit back. That's it. It's so important to get this because this is the biggest mistake I see in motocross. This thing where people move their knees. Remember this rule, knees always while standing, even with the foot pegs or behind the foot pegs. Never in standing forward of the foot pegs. I'm telling you, you master these 2 things, the standing 7 position, anytime you ride out to a track and you master this, being able to bend at the waist and put your hips to the back of the bike, your movement there without bending the knees forward, your lap times, your speed, your confidence, control will tremendously, tremendously, tremendously improve. Guaranteed. Now, where else? I just realized while I'm rambling on here, I got away from where else you would do this on the track. I'll touch on that right now. And where else would you make this movement? Not this extreme. But where else? We said whoops. Guess where else? faces of jumps when you take off. It's a timing thing. When you leave the face of the jump, what happens? This right here compresses. Guess what happens when Pastrana moves back to the center of balance, back to his 7 position? This rebounds. When it rebounds, you have to time that correctly off the face of a jump, and while it goes airborne into the air, and you can make this movement. It's not this extreme, okay? Um, the other place is where? On the landing of jumps, because you're going to get the same thing. But there's a technique to remove the rebound on landing of jumps. And what do you think that is? You just meet the landing with throttle. You meet the landing with a little throttle, it'll take the rebound back out. All right. You're going to do this on breaker bumps. You're going to do this under braking. When you are especially braking hard and heavy, maybe on a big, like a downhill, like High Point, my home track, you're going to make a movement to the back of the bike, and you're going to be um, because it's now what's called the new center of balance. You're braking, all this force is coming forward to the front of the bike. You have to create a new center of balance, move to the back of the bike by just bending at the waist and hinging your hips to the back. And you have to time it correctly depending on how hard you're braking, how big the downhill is, right? People don't realize how much in motocross it's a game of timing and feel. Timing and feel. You got to feel that downhill at High Point when you come down it, and you got to feel how much braking you needed and how heavy you needed, how hard, the timing of it, and how much you needed to move to get that thing to flow and dance correctly underneath you, your bike, right? And once you feel that once, you can mimic that every time down through the track, or play around with it and see how much more faster you can go, brake a little bit heavier without over braking by locking up the rear wheel, and time your movement like this by bending at the waist and knees not going forward to the back of the bike. So where else would we do this? We would do it in where? Starts. Do you ever see guys coming out of starts to pros? Why? Because this also gets traction to the back of the bike. You get a lot of traction when you move back here. Look at all the weight. Look at where his butt is. It's on the wheel almost. You're getting a lot of traction on the back wheel. All right, guys, I hope that makes sense. I am running my Scary Fast in corner special right now. Halloween special, which is called Spooky Fast in Corners or Scary Fast in Corners. And I will teach you, just like you kind of seen this video here, how to master corners for only $37. Normally $197. You can get it today, a Halloween special. This is an online course that will literally walk you through exactly how to master every type of corner. It's going to give you the drills you can practice, the techniques you can take right to the track and practice. You have lifetime access to this literally for $37, and you're going to love it. I'm also throwing in how to jump like a pro, which I'm going to teach you the exact techniques to jumping. It's a full-on course itself. You're going to get that for free when you join today, and you're also going to get a free live workshop I'm going to do in a week, where you can literally ask me any questions and I'll give you the answers. We're going to do a workshop where I literally break down the 8 fundamentals of motor control. I touched on one here. I'm going to show you the 8 fundamentals live. This is live. This is not pre-recorded. You can ask me any question you want. And this thing is the fundamentals of motocross, just like I said in the beginning, that are in every sport. But the fundamentals can be boring, right? But I'm going to make them exciting. That's why we don't like practice. We want to go ride. We want to go race, right? We join baseball. Practice is boring because the fundamentals can be boring. But I'm going to teach you the fundamentals and make it fun. And when you master the fundamentals, your speed, confidence, control, and flow will go through the roof. You will improve your lap times. You will start winning races, guaranteed. There's only 2 ways to ride a bike, and I'm going to teach you what them 2 things are on that webinar and on the course when you join today for just $37. Talk to you guys soon. Have a good one.